So we're beginning to get the Season 3 characters, meaning we should be getting the other one soon. Right, soon. Bruce's Trustmaster reward, Illusionary Gun, is a materia that increases your unit's attack by 30% and boosts it further if they're holding a gun. His Super Trustmaster reward, a Dark Hat, gives a good flat boost to attack, increases the unit's evasion by 15%, and increases their light and dark resistance by 30%. All that aside, the description is pure gold. Listen to this. A hat Bruce seems to wear at all times. Fine, lustrous cloth went through a rigorous tailoring process to make this article, much so that it can fit on any person's crown. There is seemingly never a moment when Bruce goes without this accessory, to the point that without it, Bruce just wouldn't be Bruce. Alright, perfect. Let's move on to his active abilities. Summoner Reload is basically Entrust, but unlike Entrust, he can apply it into his rotation. His limit burst gauge holds up to 36 crystals, so it's a pretty good amount. Speaking of which, Revolver Quartet is an attack that partially ignores the enemy's defense, has a 100% chance to inflict stop, and lets him evade 5 attacks. Let's get back to his active abilities. Raising Shot is split into 2 different absolute mirror of equity breaks. Attack and Magic or Defense and Spirit. It's only 70%, which, while passable, isn't the ceiling. Quick Draw deals damage and lets him dodge 2 attacks. Healing Magician gradually heals your team. Raising Shot, Light and Dark, is a pretty interesting attack that simultaneously lowers the enemy's light and dark resistance by 120%. Light Summoning and Dark Summoning are literally the same attack, though both deal different elemental damage. They also give Bruce a provoke buff for a single turn. Doom Train Summon is a really awesome ability on paper. By using up your evocation gauge, Bruce can summon a train that can inflict death, most types of status ailments, deals a strong hit, and fills up his limit burst by half its max capacity. But if you're putting it into practice, all you're doing is using up the evocation gauge to fill up his limit burst. Now for his cooldown abilities. Determined to Fight the Hollow increases his attack by 250%, lets him evade 4 attacks, increases the damage modifier for light and dark summoning, and lets him triple cast for 4 turns. Unfortunately, the buff durations don't match up with the cooldown. Twilight Magic is an absolute mirror of equity attack that's available on the 2nd turn. It's pretty interesting. It doesn't do anything special at first, but in 2 turns it will imperil the enemy's light and dark resistance by 130%. Let's look at his passives. He doesn't have any killers, which is a bit of an oddity. He'd prefer to hold a single weapon, and with his Trustmaster reward equipped, he gets the ability to triple cast on the 1st turn. Time to make a damage rotation. Cast Determined to Fight the Hollow, cast a Raising Shot, Light and Dark, and use whichever summoning attack you prefer. On turn 2, triple cast the same summoning attack. Turn 3 is a repeat. On turn 4, you lose the triple cast and a lot of his damage. He doesn't really have a good way to get it back. Make the most of it and cast a summoning attack and Twilight Magic. On turn 5, cast a Raising Shot, Light and Dark, and use one of the summoning abilities. On turn 6, cast a summoning ability and use Twilight Magic. Finally, on turn 7, use Determined to Fight the Hollow and cast a summoning ability. So that's it! How good is Bruce? He's not too powerful without his triple cast. For that matter, I'd say he's weaker than Barret. Well, what can you expect? After all, no matter how fabulous a hat is, in the end it's just a hat.